The Alpine A110 is an exceptionally rare car, and it's likely that you haven't actually seen one of these on Irish roads, and if you did, it was probably this exact same car because this one was specially imported by Renault Ireland. This car is not officially on sale in Ireland just yet. And occasionally when you're searching Carzone.ie, you might come across a vintage Renault Alpine from the 1980s and the 1990s. But Alpine's lack of presence in the Irish market might be just about to change because Alpine is strengthening their position as Renault's sports car brand with a range of new sporty electric models planned over the next few years. But in the meantime, we're going to take a closer look at this Alpine A110 to see what it has to offer and take it for a drive. The Alpine A110 is all your dreams come true in a sports car. It's two-seat, it's mid-engined and it's rear-wheel drive. And if it was officially on sale here, it would retail from about €85,000, which puts it up against cars like the Porsche Caymen and the Audi TT-S. But the Alpine A110 is delightfully French. It's absolutely gorgeous to look at, especially in this Alpine blue paint colour, and it has lots of retro-inspired design cues that take inspiration from the Alpine A110s from the 1960s and the 1970s that were very successful in motorsport. At the front, it's unmistakable as anything other than an Alpine, with the twin front headlamps, the bonnet spine and Alpine spelled out across the front of the car. At the side you can see clearly it's a modern interpretation of the classic Alpine A110 silhouette. This one gets 18-inch alloy wheels with blue brake calipers. At the back there's the Alpine's classic wraparound rear glass. We have a unique X-shaped signature to the rear lights. Alpine is spelt out here across the back of the car. There's a mid-mounted rear exhaust, and then what you can see through the glass there is the very heart of this car, and that's the 1.8 litre turbocharged petrol engine. But you're going to have to travel light with the Alpine because it has an exceptionally small boot of just 96 litres. Even a Fiat 500e has more boot volume than that. But because it's mid-engined, it means that you get an extra 100 litres under the bonnet, which is really great. The cabin of the Alpine A110 feels really snug and sporty. There's lots of little sporty touches to the cabin, like the aluminium pedals. There's this sport steering wheel with the Alpine logo. And then the best button of all is the sport button here on the steering wheel. There's a full digital instrument cluster here, and the view of that can change depending on which driving mode you're in. This version comes with these really nice leather sports seats, and they've been specially designed to save weight in the car. Now they only adjust for height, but I've had no problem getting comfortable here behind the wheel of the Alpine A110. There's quite a high centre console here, and here's where you select the gear. You get this 7-inch touchscreen as standard. Now this is a 2019 car, and that has been updated since this first went on sale. You now get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is a good thing because I think the screen is probably the weakest link in this car. It's a bit basic for a car of this price point, but at least with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto you would be able to bypass that native system. Generally the quality is good in here, but it's not quite as luxurious as the cabin of an Audi TT-S or a Porsche Caymen, but the car is so good to drive that probably won't stop you from buying it. And generally it's a very comfortable cabin, and there's lots of modern features. There's a reversing camera, there's climate control and heated seats. So overall it's a very comfortable cabin to spend time in. There's not much storage in here, but you kind of don't expect that from a two-seat sports car. There's no door bins. Well, there is a handy storage space here beneath the centre console. But this car is all about the driving. It uses a 1.8 litre turbocharged petrol engine, and that's the same engine as in the Renault Megane RS, which is one of my favourite cars and one of my favourite engines. Of course, the engine is positioned behind you. It's been tweaked for the Alpine A110, so it offers 252 horsepower, 320 newton meters of torque, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour is 4.5 seconds, and it goes on to a top speed of 250 kilometers per hour. Now, the engine is matched to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission that sends power to the rear wheels, and you can change gear yourself from the paddles on the steering wheel. There's also some different driving modes: normal, sport, track, and of course there's launch control as well. So in the normal mode, the Alpine A110 is in its most suburban and well-behaved mode. It's easy to control it in traffic, and it's also relatively quiet as well. Then when you pop it into sport mode, that's where you start to access more of that Alpine character. The engine gets noisier, there's a more aggressive throttle. Then moving into track mode, and it adjusts the ESC setting so you get a little bit more slip and again more aggressive engine note. The Alpine A110 has been designed to be lightweight and agile in the spirit of the original Alpine A110. It's built entirely of aluminium, the chassis and the bodywork. So it weighs just about 1.1 tons. Now that's about 300 kilograms lighter than a Porsche Caymen, for example. So it just feels more simple and engaging on the road to drive. That does make a difference. 252 horsepower might sound quite modest, but not when you consider how lightweight this car is. It's very responsive, and there's nothing quite like hearing that engine working behind you as well, and that sensation of being pushed along by the rear wheels. It's also got really strong Brembo brakes as well, so I would have plenty of confidence in the car no matter what your skill level is. The steering as well is not overly heavy like you find in some sports cars, so that increases the engagement. I think there's plenty of feel and it's easy to place the car. It's got a sophisticated double wishbone suspension all around, so it does ride very well. Particularly the faster you go, I would say. So in low speeds around town, it does feel quite firm. It picks up manhole covers and any bumps in the road surface, but it definitely smooths out and gets better as you go faster. It's very comfortable in here. I've plenty of space. I don't feel too cramped in this car either. So it's a car you could drive every day. And in terms of running costs, it's actually relatively efficient. You can get over 40 miles per gallon in this car when you're settled down to a cruise on a motorway, for example. And motor tax is just €600 per year. I say just, but for a sports car, I think that is quite reasonable. There are more hardcore versions available of the Alpine A110, like the A110S and the A110R, but I think this one is just lovely. Of course, it's the last combustion engined Alpine A110 we're going to see. Every other model from now on is going to be electric. There's going to be a hot hatchback, an electric replacement for this A110. But from what I've seen in this car, I think it's going to be great. It's a real treat to have this car on the channel. The Alpine A110 is a brilliant sports car that's built in the true spirit of lightweight, and that makes it feel very special on the road. It is vastly impractical and the interior could be better, but it's so gorgeous to look at, I think you'll forgive it all that. The Alpine A110 is a very niche car at a time when even sports cars are moving towards hybrid and electric. Even Alpine has committed to an electric future. But after driving this A110, I can't wait to see what comes next from this brand. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.